Okay, thanks for joining us. I'm here with Mark McGeachen. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Advance Retail. And Advance Retail is a provider of retail software in the Asia Pacific region. But instead of me explaining it, I'll hand over to Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, give us the quick, 30-second or however long version of what Advance Retail is and does, and a little bit of the background of how you started afterwards.
Okay. Well, we're a provider of software and services for multi-site retail stores. So predominantly specialty, multi-site businesses, franchise, company-owned stores, people looking to transform the way they engage with their customers on the shop floor. That's what we're all about. In terms of background, we've been doing it for a long, long time, so 25 years in fact. We came out of a company that was these days you call them an ERP vendor.
Yeah.
40 years ago they were writing software in COBOL to run on mainframes.
Wow.
So, we came out of that sort of business.
Yep.
And 25 years ago we got into retail as an experiment, and we've been in retail ever since. So.
Sure. Now, a lot of people go to a store and they'll see a cash register and, somebody waiting behind the cash register. What does an advanced retail environment look like? A modern retail environment, one of your customers will have implemented, and what are the things they can do? Loyalty schemes, easier payment systems. What does the modern retail environment look like?
Well, in a lot of ways it looks like an older retail environment. There's still a place for a fixed point of sale device where people wander up to a counter and they have their products scanned.
Yep.
They're rung up on a screen, they may swipe a loyalty card, they tender, pay wave or cash, good old-fashioned cash still out there.
Yeah, Apple Pay one of these days
Apple
as well.
Pay one of these days,
Yep.
Google Wallets,
Yep.
all the sort of technology, but they pay their money, they wrap their goods and they leave.
Yep.
So we still, obviously, our bread and butter is supporting that kind of retail transaction. But increasingly retailers are wanting to transform, reinvent that customer experience in the store. It's being led by customers themselves. So that environment may also include staff roaming the floor with mobile devices.
Like we see in Apple stores or...
Exactly right. And Apple led the way. When the Apple stores first launched, we had customers coming to us and saying,
We want to do that.
we want to be an Apple store.
Yeah.
This is the way we want to
And you could enable
transform
that.
And we thought, this is brilliant. We can enable this. We've invested heavily in developing that kind of technology. We went out there and told all our customers about it, and they all said, yeah, we want to be part of the Apple Store type experience.
Yeah.
But I think Apple Store's unique. They are obviously
Yeah.
unique. But their model is a reasonably high touch model. You can also walk in there and you know exactly what you want to get.
Usually you've got a pretty clear idea.
Their staffing ratios are high compared to typical specialty retailers. It's a different experience. So when customers started going down that track and saying, how do we become an Apple Store, they realised that actually that model doesn't work necessarily for most retailers. But there are degrees along the way and you can get close.
So give us some more examples of how some big companies. There's Pandora, an example, which is not the music streaming company, but the high end jewelry company. What's an example about how they or some of the other customers I can see on the wall behind you have implemented your technologies and made a real difference to not only how they interact with customers, but to the data they collect and to how they better sell to the end user?
Sure. And look, Pandora is a great example. Obviously they're a global brand. They have, I've forgotten how many thousand outlets across 80 countries, I think now.
Yeah.
But they initially started talking with us a technology story around the mobile solutions. Now they use the Advanced Retail POS here throughout Australia and New Zealand.
And they
for a number of years.
And they pioneered it.
In Australia they rolled out our standard point of sale. So that's what you'd see in any store, a computer screen sitting on the counter with barcode scanner and FPOS terminal and that.
And that was a few years ago.
Yeah, I think 5-6 years ago now.
Yeah.
But they came to us at the end of last year and said, look, we have 3-4 peaks during the year. Obviously Christmas, the lead up to Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day and jewellery, it's huge for them.
Of course, yeah.
And in those peaks in our little store, we get so many customers lined up wanting to transact with us. We get queues.
Yeah, like in a post office.
Like in a post office.
Yeah.
And how could we leverage technology to help alleviate those queues? So we, of course, said, well, listen, this is brilliant. We've got Advanced Retail Smart Store, our mobile solution. Let's put some of these in there and make your queues go away.
Yeah.
And it was a successful pilot. They installed it really beginning of this year so they could get up and running in time for the Mother's Day rush. I think what they and we learned through that, though, is that the queue busting, the technology actually wasn't particularly important.
Yeah.
it's far more about transforming the customer experience. So rather than just you've bought what you want, let me scan it, take your money and send you out the door. What they cottoned onto is the fact that if you engage the customer with the device and actually make it part of the sales experience. So as the salesperson's introducing themselves and talking to you, they say, look, I'm not texting my mates while I'm serving you. This is actually part of our point of sale solution, and we're going to be building up your basket, and I'll be able to show you options. So as you're accessorizing your bracelet, I'll be able to show you options, look at different pricing scenarios. You buy all of this, there's the price, maybe scale it back, add a bit more.
Sure.
So it became a selling tool.
It's like a digital shelf or a digital warehouse sort of thing.
We talk about an endless aisle.
Yeah, that's what.
So an endless aisle is, here's all the merchandise we couldn't physically cram into the store here, but it is available to you if you'd like to have a look at it.
Yeah.
But by folding the digital technology into that sales journey, their sales staff are actually able to improve the service to customers and, as a consequence, increase their average sale. And that was the big learning for them and for us, is it's not about technology, it's about how you use that to improve the customer's experience in the store.
Yeah, it's not technology for technology's sake. If it's not actually, as you were saying, improving things in terms of how customers are relating and seeing it all, then you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't go through that all that expense.
Entirely correct. Because some people do. They think that technology in itself is an answer.
Sure.
Technology is going to move them someplace else or do miracles for them. And it's over the years, we've seen so many retailers who are not doing well in the market, whose solution to that is we need new technology. Technology will fix the problem. And technology itself doesn't.
It's just part of the solution.
It's how you use it. It's how you leverage it to make your customers want to shop with you.
I was reading the Pandora case study, and it started off where they had a few devices per store, and then suddenly they realized, well, every staff member needs one. And then I was reading about how people started to steal them because they were there. So now they started having to put it onto their belts, to properly to put on. What are some of the other learnings? People obviously could use bigger devices like iPads or iPad minis.
Exactly right. And the solution runs across iOS and Android devices of any screen size. We have another client that started out with iPods, and they decided that actually they'd trial iPads. They went from the pad down to the mini, and they've sort of said, well, the mini's a good size. We can carry that with us, but it's got enough screen real estate to show on the floor. So it depends on the environment. Pandora's jewellery, it's there's not a lot of space in their stores. So customers are all working around a glass counter. So big devices just take up too much real estate.
Now, what are the other consumer expectations that are driving the change in retail deployment? You've got other case studies with Australian Geographic Stores, National Gallery of Australia. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, look, I think the other big change that we see, and probably the overarching change, is the concept of omni-channel retailing.
And what's the definition of that for those who might want to?
And there are many definitions. The definition we're working with is that it's all about a seamless path to purchase for a consumer that may, in one transaction, cross many channels. So they may be browsing on the web, they may be researching on a mobile device, they may engage with your call centre if it's a technical sale or a bigger ticket sale. They may well come into a store and look at the merchandise. And then when they buy it, they might buy it in a shop and take it away. They might order it online, collect it in the store, or reserve it because they want to come and have a look at it in the store. So it's one transaction that can potentially span multiple paths to get into that credit card moment. So for us, omni-channel retail, we've talked about it's the retailer strikes back. If you look back a few years...
Return of the retailer.
Exactly.
A New Hope.
The White Knight.
Well, they're all Star Wars.
Very true.
If
you look back a few years, there was so much press about how bricks and mortar retail was going to get taken out by internet.
And now, of course, we have Amazon opening its own bricks and mortar store.
Exactly right. It's
come full circle.
It has. They've got, I think, 64 distribution centres across the US to get goods to customers within hours. And yet they now feel the need to open their own pop-ups to sell their own devices. But they've also opened in New York their own store, a proper shop.
Incredible.
And they've positioned it in a prime shopping area, I think dead opposite Macy's, if my memory's correct. So, it's amazing to see that happen. And that's because the way we see it, an omni-channel retailer who has bricks and mortar and mobile and web channels, they have probably three key advantages that an Amazon can't deliver. So their experience is experiential. So you can actually see, feel, touch the merchandise. You can try it on, which you can't do. No matter how good the VR is on screen, you can't do that.
That's it.
They've got convenience because they can offer, rather than you buy, you click, we deliver it to you, it's, well, you can walk in the store, you can pick it up, buy it and pick it up in the store. You can shop online because that's convenient. You can be sitting on the bus doing your shopping on your mobile device, but say, on my way into the office, I'll just nip in the store, it'll be waiting for me, I'll pick it up. So they have the convenience around delivery options and collection options. They also have a degree of immediacy that you just can't get. No matter how good your distribution centres are and 3-hour deliveries and all those good things, nothing beats, there it is, I like it, I'll take it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So an omni-channel retailer actually has competitive advantages done right. So we see that as probably the key strategy. And our mobile technology is part of that. So the mobile technology is all about driving store-level execution of those transactions. One of the things that we learned early on in the piece is that a distribution centre, the staff there exist to pick, pack and dispatch orders. They're efficient and it's what they do for a living. When you start picking, packing, collecting and dispatching potentially from stores, your store staff are salespeople. They're there to engage with customers, obviously to maximise that sales opportunity. A process-oriented pick, pack, dispatch isn't what they were hired to do.
No.
So we use the same software, the same device that you can be using to serve customers will beep, it'll notify you that a customer's just ordered something, they're coming in to collect it in half an hour, colour codes them, it prioritises them, it drives them through that workflow of finding the merchandise, scanning it to validate you've got the right size, colour, style, whatever. Fires off acknowledgements to the customer saying we've SMS'd you or emailed you, it is waiting, it's got your name in it.
It's now packed.
It's packed, it's ready for you. So it's all about then turning retail staff into dispatch staff in effect.
But doing it in a very smooth, easy way that doesn't...
Seamless.
Seamless
is
way.
The key to all of this. It can't interfere with what they do on the shop floor. You don't want them, you don't want them turned into warehouse workers. They are retail staff. So for us, omni-channel is a key strategy. Absolutely key.
And I mean, obviously that's some of what Australian Geographic stores or the National Gallery of Australia are doing.
Well, I think they're probably a little different actually. I mean, National Gallery is,
not a retail store.
Well, they retail obviously, but it's a destination. You're going there to look at collections and you're buying merchandise that's that you're coming through an experience there and you're buying merchandise to associate with that. So what we've done for them is far more of a conventional, I guess, point of sale system. It's the PCs on the counter, it's the checkouts. It's a lot of work around inventory management for them. They have multiple locations storing stock, off-site warehouse, so it's keeping all that inventory up to date. I guess, it is very traditional retail management solutions for them. And Australian Geographic, I mean, they've been a client for many years, and over those years they've grown and evolved, and we'd like to think that we've done exactly the same with them. We've streamlined their integrations as they've upgraded their ERP systems. They had a lot of challenges with their provider around gift cards. So we were able to come along with our solution and say, look, not only can we save you a lot of money, but we can get rid of all these technical hassles. So they've just sort of kept leveraging new pieces of technology. They're currently themselves piloting our AdvanceRetail's smart store solution, so they're using the mobile devices in stores. They've started working with inventory transactions. They've now got confidence. They're moving into customer-facing transactions. So they evolve. They continue to evolve.
Which you have to do, I mean, in the modern environment.
Isn't it?
So how many countries around the world are using your solutions?
That's a really good question.
I mean, I can see some amazing brand names behind
Well,
them.
and look, Advanced Retail is part of the Island Pacific group of companies. So the brand names that are around the walls here are a mix of sites using the Advanced Retail software, the Island Pacific solutions. So much as I'd love to claim that they're all Advanced, I can't quite do that. Not yet. Working on it. We have solutions, I think about 12 countries we've deployed software. So again, that focus has been on the Asia Pacific regions. We have some clients in the US, but mainly we've got a branch office in Malaysia, which has been a very successful market for us. China, Hong Kong, Macau. I've got one of my consultants currently in Vietnam working on a big deployment there. I've got sites in Cambodia. So it's really that Asia Pacific region.
Well, that's the area that everyone's saying is going to have huge growth. It's having huge growth right now.
It is. It is. I mean, and a couple of our largest sites are actually in China, where they deploy advanced retail into entire shopping malls.
Wow.
So we'll get, this client in Beijing has 200 point of sales sitting in the one building. which is it's been an interesting market.
Yeah. So what are some of the other trends for 2015 that you can share with us?
Look, I think in terms of the areas that we're focused on as a business, that we see retailers heading, omni-channel first and foremost.
Yeah.
Reinventing, transforming that in-store experience follows on from being an omni-channel retailer. So we certainly see that the mobility devices that the Americans would talk about untethering your sales associates.
Yeah.
So getting them out from behind the register, that's a huge trend. And it's one that is all about human resources. It's all about training, and that's something Pandora learned actually. They found that when they realised that you could use this to change your sales experience with customers, they actually brought their training team in, they role-played and videoed with their HR team, and they deployed training around how to use this technology.
To all their other stores.
Correct.
Yeah.
But how to use it in a customer engagement rather than just which buttons you click or which icons you're swiping along the way. So we see that consumer engagement in stores is a radical shift.
Well, they're there. If you don't convert them, but not in the sense of just a sort of a cold conversion where you're just extracting money. If they're not happy, they're not engaged, they're not loving the experience, you're going to tell everybody how wonderful it was. Yep. You've missed an enormous opportunity to have that customer then come back time and time and time again. And I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. I'm sure it's retail 101, but even so, people are still figuring this out as
exactly. And I think you're spot on. You use the word engage.
Yeah.
And retailing, omni-channel retailing in particular, is all about deepening and strengthening that engagement with the brand.
Yeah.
So otherwise, retail's very transactional. It's walk in, it's pick up, it's scan, it's buy, and it's leave. Yeah. There's not a lot of engagement.
There's no relationship.
An omni-channel retailer, a retailer whose staff are all around engagement focus, is an engagement with a brand, and that creates a lasting relationship, more so than just a loyalty card does.
Yeah. Any final messages for ITY readers and potential or current customers?
That's a good question. I mean, if they're potential customers, we'd love to have a chat with them. And current customers, we're always wanting to talk with. I suppose a message for people thinking about retailers, it's very much alive and kicking. You see so much doom and gloom about brands that are disappearing. I mean, in the press every day there's retailers disappearing, but it's alive and well, it's innovating, it's doing great things, and Advance Retail, we're part of that innovation.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.